I'm Thomas, and today I'm interviewing
Louis and Clark.
So, first question, those who are unaware, what was this expedition all about?
Well, at the time, we were sent to explore the land that was bought after the Louisiana Purchase.
All right. Clark, what struggles did you deal with during the expedition?
We dealt with a lot of things that were a challenge to us, but the main ones were the rough terrain, relentless weather, starvation, diseases, and treacherous waters during the trip.
Well, after those kind of struggles, there are a lot of injuries or deaths. How many people were affected by such things?
Only one man died. It was very sad, but also very surprising considering the circumstances.
Who was that person?
That person was Sergeant Floyd. He died near present-day Sioux City from a burst appendix.
How many people did you bring on this journey?
We had brought exactly 45 individuals along with us.
It must have been difficult to travel with that many people. How long was the expedition with the 45, and how far did you travel?
It was 2 years, 4 months, and 10 days. And now that it's over, I know that we've traveled over 8,000 miles.
Wow. 2 years. Were you scared during the time of the trip? And what was the scariest part?
Well, of course we were, because traveling for 2 years in an unknown territory without families was very scary. Not knowing what we would find was terrifying.
What was the most important things that you discovered?
Well, we mapped the newly purchased land of Louisiana and also the 550 million acres that were bought, learning about the territory. We also filled books with information about the plants, animals, and tribes that we had never seen before.
Tribes, you say? Who did you encounter?
We stumbled across the natives while we were traveling along the Columbia River.
How much did the natives help with your expedition?
They helped a lot. Sacagawea especially helped us a lot because she interpreted and translated to the other natives. She also made medicine and found edible plants for us to eat on the journey.
Thank you, too, for your time.
I'm Sean, and I'm here interviewing
Lewis and Clark.
So, Lewis and Clark, you were part of history. How long did it take you to explore all the West?
It took us 2 years, 4 months, and 10 days. We stopped at many spots in between the country as well.
What did you do before the expedition?
So before the expedition, I know that Lewis here was Thomas Jefferson's private presidential secretary, and he also served in the military. That's where we first met. I was serving in the military and encountered Lewis during our service. When he was appointed to lead the mission, he asked me to be co-commanding officer. Before the trip, we studied medicine, botany, astronomy, and zoology. We also studied existing maps to help us navigate where to go, and if we could add any useful information to these maps.
What were you expecting or looking for during the expedition?
We were ready to expect the unexpected. In the back of our minds, we knew that this voyage was not going to be easy, but we hoped that we were all ready for any challenge that comes our way. My colleagues and I were prepared to see new creatures and different types of terrain, but we were truly hoping to find a new water route linking the Columbian and Missouri River. The major goal was not only to explore America's newly purchased territory, but also to find a waterway that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to help America expand trade. We decided to call our journey the Corpse of Discovery.
Despite knowing that the journey would be tough, may I ask, what motivated you to accept the leading spot on the expedition?
I was chosen to lead by President Jefferson, but I felt like my skills were unmatched and needed more help. I then searched for William Clark to be our co-commander. I accepted this opportunity so that I could help future generations explore the country they live in.
What did you bring to the expedition, and how did it help throughout your journey?
Our journey needed many essentials to help us in our expedition. We decided to bring a compass, which was in good use to guide us in the right direction. We also brought instruments like telescopes so we could evaluate the environment around us. Most of the things we brought were then necessities like coal and food.
In my opinion, I believe one of the most important items we brought was a notebook and a writing utensil. These were of good use to us because it helped us collect our thoughts and record what we have seen, heard, or discovered.
What was the point or mission of the expedition? After all, you were taking a trip through a piece of land that almost doubled the size of the United States at the time.
So Jefferson had sent Lewis and me to go into the expedition throughout the Louisiana Purchase. And you're right, it was quite a challenge to cross a land that was double the size of the U.S. The U.S. had purchased this land in 1803. Just the next year, we took off for our expedition. When going through the journey, the land was already inhabited and politically complicated. We were given 4 major goals that we need to accomplish by the end of the expedition. The first was exploring the territory. We had to look high and low, and there were many tribulations to overcome. We had to try to persuade the Native American tribes to become trading partners with the U.S. And one of our third goals, as mentioned before, was to find a route to the Pacific Ocean. Our journey, we had to reach the Pacific Ocean for us to find only that it was blocked by the Rocky Mountains. The final goal was to claim the area of the Louisiana Territory for America. In short terms, our voyage was full of adventure and excitement.
What was the territory like, such as the environment and terrain?
Well, our mission was to find a new water route, so we were very intent on finding the marine environment. We also found many mountains and plains throughout the Midwest. Of course, our biggest discovery was finding the Pacific Ocean at the end of all of this.
Similar to what I asked before, what were the places you traveled to like, and where did you travel to in modern times?
So we traveled to many places and reached many stops and obstacles along the way. Our journey had first started in St. Louis, Missouri. The land had fertile soil with flat prairie with rivers and streams, but it lacked a hill-like terrain. Then we continued to Ohama, Nebraska, where we saw rolling hills. Our next stop was South City in Iowa, and then we went to South Dakota to North Dakota in Bismarck. When traveling through South and North Dakota, we realized that there was fertile farmland with sprawling prairies and glacial-like lakes. Our fourth stop was Billings, Montana, where we saw long rocks called rim rocks, which was a tough journey to go through. Soon after, we made it to Missoula, Montana, where we met the Rocky Mountains. We were so close, and seeing the mountains may have discouraged some, but we continued and persevered despite our setbacks. After a long and tough journey, we finally reached the Pacific Ocean, and I said, "Ocean view, oh, the joy!"
To add to your reaction, Lewis, what did it feel like to finally reach the Pacific Ocean?
It was such a relief. I finally felt whole, and seeing that crystal blue water gave me a new sense of understanding. I realized that I was in history. My team and I created new opportunities for many Americans.
What sort of animals did you find on your expedition, and did you meet any natives to the land throughout your journey?
Just 2 weeks after our expedition, we encountered a creature that barked, but was not a dog, and so we gave it the name Prairie Dog. We also seen pronghorns, coyotes, and even jackrabbits. They're really fast. To answer your second question, yes, we did encounter many natives from the land when we were exploring. We met over 50 Native American tribes, including the Shoshone, the Mandan, the Midorar, the Blackfeet, the Chiganook, and the Sos. I remember that on our way to the Hastet Medin settlement.
Isn't that modern-day Bismarck in North Dakota? What happened there?
Well, yes. There we met the Shoshone tribe and became acquainted with a 16-year-old girl named Sacagawea. Our interpreter at the time did not know the language of the Shoshone tribe. Consequently, Sacagawea decided to come along for the rest of the expedition to help us communicate with any other tribes we met along the way. She was a crucial part of completing our expedition.
Were there any injuries on your expedition?
We saw many setbacks throughout our adventure. Some included the one fatality, which was Charles Floyd. Besides that, we mostly ran into grizzly bears and that sort. However, I did get shot in the butt.
What challenges did you face?
Despite the thought that people think going on such an expedition was easy, it was quite the opposite. There were many trials and tribulations we had to face. Our journey had lasted for around 2 years, and during this duration of time, we experienced a variety of weather changes, most of which were difficult to overcome. There were treacherous terrain and crashing waters. We suffered injuries, hardship, and diseases. I believe a tremendous challenge we faced was dealing with the friendly and hostile Native American tribes. I learned that if there's a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere.
Today, America is glad for your service and your help in exploring the Louisiana Territory. You are true American heroes for not giving up and persevering even through hardship. Now, if it is all right of me to ask, what was the name and breed of your dog?
Our dog was a Newfoundland, and his name was Seaman.
And there you have it, folks. The dog's name is Seaman. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Lewis and Clark, for taking the time to answer our questions. Do you have anything you would like to tell our audience before we sign off?
Thank you so much for having Lewis and me here today. It was our pleasure to be here, but before we go, I would like to say, boys, be ambitious. Be ambitious not for money, not for selfish aggrandization, not for the advanced things which men call fame, but be ambitious for the attainment of all men and beings.
Hi everyone, my name is Matthew,
And I'm Laura.
and we have
Hi, I'm Lewis.
Hi, I'm Clark.
Why did Thomas Jefferson send you on this expedition?
So Thomas Jefferson actually sent us on this expedition because he wanted to explore the newly bought land that nearly doubled the U.S.'s size. It was a huge investment, and we were actually chosen to lead because of our abilities and experience.
I, Clark, was a draftsman and a front mirrorman, not to brag.
And I, Lewis, was an intelligent and literate front steerman.
how long was this journey?
The trip lasted 2 years, 4 months, and 10 days, and we traveled a total of 8,000 miles. Not a very short trip, especially by foot.
What was the route of the trip?
Well, our group went up the Missouri River to its headwaters, then onto the Pacific Ocean through the Columbia River. It was a long trip, and it certainly wasn't easy.
How many people did you take with you, and did any survive?
Lewis and I, and 27 unmarried soldiers, a French Indian interpreter, a contracted boat crew, and an enslaved person owned by me named York. Everyone survived except for our surgeon, Charles Floyd, who had sadly passed due to the appendix. Appendicitis.
Did you meet any people during your expedition? And how did they treat you?
We met many natives through our expedition. We thought they would be kind, and they actually were just that.
They gave us food and water and helped us throughout the trip. They were very respectable people, and they respected us as well.
What was the best part of this trip? And what was the worst part?
It's interesting because the best part is also the worst part, which is traveling. We love exploring the different sites and getting involved with the Indians. However, no one said that it was going to be easy. We came across many difficulties, such as harsh weather, unforgiving terrain, treacherous waters, injuries, starvation, disease, and both friendly and hostile Native Americans.
What was the most significant sacrifice that you made on the trip? Did you guys have to leave your family?
Yes, both me and Clark actually had to leave our families. It was very difficult to leave them behind for the expedition, but we had to since President Jefferson's orders. One of our greatest obstacles would probably have to be traveling those 8,000 miles just to survey the Mississippi River.
What was the living conditions of the trip? Was it easy to survive?
The living conditions were actually very bad, and Clark suffered through many hostile natives and very bad weather conditions. We struggled through, and any others, such as the terrain and injuries, the list goes on and on.
What was the outcome of the trip? Was it what we were expecting?
We achieved an impressive record of peaceful cooperation with the natives. We also made American interest in the fur trade.
If you were to change one thing about the trip, what would you change?
If I were to change one thing, I would definitely change the conditions of the trip. It would probably make it 20 times. The weather actually made it 20 times more difficult. So,
If the weather was calm, then the trip would have been more bearable.
That's all for the interview, folks. Bye.
My name is Ava, and here we have Lewis.
And Clark.
Okay, for your first question, how long was your expedition in North Dakota?
The expedition spent 214 days in North Dakota. The group then spent 146 days on its outbound trip in October of 1804. When we set up a winter camp near Washburn. The second visit was on its return from the Pacific.
Okay. What are some challenges that you faced during this expedition?
Along the way, they confronted harsh weather, unforgiving terrain, treacherous waters, injuries, starvation, disease, and both friendly and hostile Native Americans.
For your next question, what was the route of the trip?
The route of Lewis and of our expedition took them up the Missouri River to its headwaters, then on to the Pacific Ocean via the Columbia River.
Were there any injuries during your expedition?
Lewis was accidentally shot near present-day Williston on August 11, 1806. He was shot by one of the crew members named Pierre Cruzate during a hunting expedition.
Okay, for your next question, how many expedition members died during the trip?
One of them died during the trip.
What did you eat on your trip?
Expedition members carried some food supplies with them like pork, flour, dried soup, lard, and liquor.
For For your next question, how many dogs did you eat?
They ate 200 dogs brought from the Indians. That was one of their main sources of food.
For your next question, do you know why Thomas Jefferson sent you on the expedition?
He wanted us to seek trade routes to establish relations with the western tribes of American Indians and to report on the geography, geology, astronomy, zoology, and climate of the West.
What impact did your expedition have?
The expedition helped with the expansion of the fur trade. The expedition also strengthened U.S. claims to the Pacific.
Why did you guys take the route that you did?
In a letter to Lewis, Jefferson explained the journey's primary mission was to explore the area from the Missouri River to the Pacific Ocean.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for tuning in.